Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Organizing Untold. We have Victoria here as our guest for today's episode. Thank you, Victoria, for joining in.
Hi.
If you could, please start us off by telling us what you do, who you are, and what you do.
Well, as you have said, my name is Victoria, and I am a full-time employee. I am a mother, full-time mom, also a founder, CEO of my ministry called True Story Through Poetry. And I, I'm a lot. I have a lot of stuff. I'm a poet, an author, motivational speaker, purpose coach. So that's all entitled to my ministry, True Story Through Poetry.
Love it, love it. And how'd you, I guess, how'd you go along your journey of knowing that everything that you do now is what you wanted to be doing?
Um, my calling actually started at 15. I did my poetry and I published my first book at the age of 15. And I started answering my calling as a purpose coach and also doing the ministry itself at the age of 18. But I really didn't understood it until later in my 20s. And it was a journey. So it's a long time frame to for me to really understand, hey, this is your true calling. Um, and there's other things too that God's pulling me to do as well. So
I love it. All right. Well, let's bring it organizing into the picture. What would you say organizing looks like to you? If you had to define it, what does that look like or mean to you?
um, organizing is a I would say the younger me would have been very chaotic, disorganized. I think it's called what's it called? Like a OCD organized, like messy organized. So it's like I know where things are in my mindset. So I know where things are. But to other people, it's gonna be like, okay, that's chaos. It's a lot. Everything is everywhere.
Yeah.
So now, as I gotten older, I'm trying to now to do my to-do list, put things on the calendar, do it remind me type thing, and try not to also used to saying no. Is also my key thing with organizing because I'm quick to say yes, and I
Mhm.
have like 50 things to do on the list on my calendar for that day. So it's now telling me, okay, slow down. You can't just do everything. So yeah, so saying no is one form of organizing for me.
Nice. Nice. And even looking into like where you are now, how would you feel, or how do you feel like that saying no has helped you get to where you are now and is helping you to continue to become who you desire to be?
Um, I'm sorry, say that one more time. Ask the question one more time. I was there, but
Yeah.
I wasn't there. See,
No,
not organized.
you're fine. So when it comes to like how saying no is your way of being organized currently, how has that helped you get to where you are now? And how is it helping you get to where you desire to be as a person?
Okay. Saying no now really brings order in um my my mindset of okay boundaries too. It can also it brought saying no to where organizing in my ministry. There's a lot of visions that's been poured in, and due to I can't do everything all at once, I can also say, okay, no, not this time, or maybe next month or something I can do. I can try to work it in there, but just saying no of, well, can you do it this day? Can you do this day? And you know that you have something to do on this day. So it also shows more of, okay, you got everything in order. You know what you're doing. So instead of saying no so quickly and then it's time for you to present, whatever your mind is scattered everywhere else. So mine is more like a mental organized, being mental organized. So yeah.
I like No, yeah, that's definitely a good point. And I like how you mentioned like boundaries because of course that it does factor into boundaries and it is important because boundaries is something that helps us be able to respect ourselves and then also be able to kind of in a sense draw the line in terms of helping others know what respect looks like from our point of view
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yes.
And so it's something that's definitely necessary for us to be mentally organized when we're telling ourselves or when we're telling others no, or even sometimes telling ourselves no, and just kind of going with it and keeping it in the forefront when we're, like you said, when you're planning for different events or planning for things that's taking place within your ministry, and knowing what's going to be at the top.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I'm sorry,
when
I
it
got noise in the background.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. So when it comes to like organizing in general, when you say no, do you feel like that's so you mentioned that that's the main thing that is kind of like taking place in terms of being organized right now. When it comes to your ministry and balancing that, balancing being a mother, balancing your job as well, how do you feel like you organize all of those together?
Um, I how I organize it and balance it all together, being a mom, and I know I'm repeating your question. I just want to make sure I'm
Mhm.
understanding it right. Because the way I'm doing it, as you can see, I'm multitasking now. Um, saying being a mom is always the full time job. So trying to organize that and saying no to certain things. Like my son, I tell my son, look, no, we can't do this. We can't go this place. We can't do that. And also I try to, when it comes to my ministry outreach, I try to include my son in some of the stuff that I do have. So that could also, it's like a teaching thing as well. Um, with my job, I do as best as I can where I don't put my personal, dealing with things, organizing. So I separate them too. So it's like, okay, my professional working here, and then when it comes out of my ministry and my motherhood, I try to entwine it both. Put it together. I let's say no when it comes down to motherhood. I try to be more compromised and open minded when it comes down to that. On my daily life activities, I really don't do a lot. I really come home, work home, and mom. And so it's just not really a lot that I do outside of working in my ministry. So I just feel like the saying no is very limited when it comes down to the motherhood, being a parent. So yes, if hopefully I answered that question right.
Yeah, yeah, no, you did. I would say you did. That definitely makes sense. And when it comes to your ministry, can you like walk us through a typical day of what that looks like of working in your ministry, to plan things out and be able to say no when you need to, or just also being able to go through what that typical day in your ministry looks like?
um, when I do my ministry is basically I'm an outreach ministry, and I go out and speak with women that's face trauma and trying to just encourage them. Hey, you have purpose, and I have my itinerary. Not my itinerary, I apologize. My curriculum booklet where we go by. It's a workbook. We go by it. It's a 3 session workbook and outline, and we do the activities. I make sure we have all the supplies, the tools that we need for that activity. And if it's not able, if I don't have it, it's okay. I have learned not to stress over stuff that I don't have, and we make do what we do. It serves its purpose, especially when you're doing something for God and God has equipped you for it. So we may think that, oh, well, I need this and that, or I need to do X, Y, and Z, and it's not what we need to do. So God will also like redirect our plans and our schedule and our being, our mindset. So sometimes it's always good to be have a good listening ear, because sometimes God will tell you no. Like, no, this is not what you need to do, Victoria. Um, so when I get prepared for my ministry work, I make sure like I have all my books. I can share a example. Had at an event the other day, um, as a vendor selling my novels. I didn't have all my novels, but the Holy Spirit told me, said that you have enough just for that moment. So when I went there to the event, it was just enough for somebody. It wasn't a lot of people,
Yeah.
but I did make some sales. So it was just actually serves its purpose. And sometimes we overthink, oh, well, we need this, and that. And that's when our mind starts scattering everywhere. So that's like some kind of, um, I would say, as an encouragement, is let God be your no. Be a key point in your organizing anything in your daily walk, because sometimes we intervene in trying to do things, and think we need all this stuff and we don't need it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a yeah, I love that. I love that. It's almost like sometimes, like you said, sometimes like taking yourself out of the picture and listening to
Yeah.
God, listening to what the Holy Spirit is telling you, and knowing that all the extra stuff that you personally think that you need, it doesn't really serve a purpose because you already have more than enough. No,
Yes, yes, yes.
that's a good point to be able to like not just use like when it comes to ministry, but when it, like you said, when it comes to anything in terms of being organized, because yeah, it is definitely key, and it can help us save ourselves a lot of stress and a lot of worry that we place on
Exactly.
ourselves. Yeah,
It's that mental thing, yes.
agree, agree. When it comes to like, so for example, you did say that you're also a poet. How do you feel like you say no in that area as well, or like what does organizing look like as it relates to that?
As a poet,
Hmm.
as a poet, and as I would I always wanted to go out and do a lot of spoken word. I really do. I was like, well, I want to hit the stage, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And, I prayed about it. And like I said, when I mentioned let God be your direct, your GPS in your organization life, he does that, because lately it was just like, you don't need to be in this place, or you don't need to be there. You're going to speak somewhere else. And God actually opened doors for me, letting poetry be a footstep to being a motivational speaker. Um, because what my poems are basically my telling my story, sharing it, but also is building my confidence to speak in front of women or people in general, just sharing the news of what God has done. So I think poetry is my stepping stool, to hire and prepare me for better. So whenever God tells me, "Yep, there go this door," you can go ahead, and it may not be in the plans or in a location that I want it to be in. It could be somewhere else, but I literally strongly, when it comes to me speaking, a matter of fact, I spoke with a young lady regarding about speaking at they do every month, spoken word. And I was like, oh, I always want to go there. I always want to get there, but it's never the time. So she was like, well, just put it on your calendar. I said, yeah, I'm put it on my calendar.
Yeah.
And I always seem to miss it. So I was like, you know what? It's okay. Maybe next time. But I literally just think that as of right now, when it comes down to being and doing spoken word into the public, it's just on hold, and it's on God's time of whenever I can do it, or whenever He sees me fit to be prepared. I'm ready.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that kind of, I feel like it kind of ties in. Remind me, you started poetry or you started spoken word when you were 15 or 19?
When I was 15 years old, I did
Okay.
spoken word wrote writing, and it was started in a program, summer camp. And there was this lady. She was our coach of poetry. So we did our book at the summer camp, and since then, I've just been writing my journey of healing and, just going through things. So it kind of graduated from my acknowledging of, okay, this is a door opening, with poetry, and it opens many doors. And matter of fact, recently I spoke at another event, and the young lady that mentored me into poetry, she showed up, and
Oh, wow.
just to see her and see me at the age I am, it's just like, oh wow, see the growth. So I love
Mm,
it. I will never regret the gift that I have. So yes.
nice. Okay. Wow. And so like just to kind of like tie that together in a sense, how do you feel like so you mentioned that like at 15 you started with poetry, spoken word, and it opened many doors, and then you also wrote your first book then as well. But you also mentioned that like you as a motivational speaker you didn't really kind of step into that until later on. How do you feel organizing in those different areas, like when did it click for you that it was something that you needed to have a or have a part of your life and have a part of the different things that you do?
I didn't really know that poetry would have been a stepping stool, a door opener for me be a motivational speaker until, like I said, when I was in my 20s, the Holy Spirit told me, it was like, hey, you already been a purpose coach, even in your moments of the breakdowns, and you have already been in a purpose coach or a motivational speaker, but you was verbally, not verbally, you was writing your motivation, on paper. Now I'm preparing you to verbally express what you have written. So knowing that really is like, okay, it's like that's it. Hearing that and then putting two together, trust me, it was a lot of pieces. I never thought I would be a poet. But then when I realized my family history, my cousin, she's a well-known author, poet author. My dad does poetry, used to do poetry. So knowing all this is just like, wow. So now seeing God shifting things around, as like I said, I've been writing and expressing my feelings on paper. Now he's already equipped me to release it verbally and to the audience. And to be organized in that is being organized in that aspect is like, okay, making sure what I'm saying aligns with God. And that means studying more. That means connecting with Him more. Um, saying yes more so to Him than saying yes to the outside of, well, but you can't do this. Not sure yet. But it's just like whenever God says, hey, this is what I want you to do, this is your assignment,
Yeah.
I have to be more willing to say yes to that. So being organized really means being aligned with Him,
Yeah.
especially when He's doing mostly the shifting. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, it sounds like almost like also like you said, being aligned with him and keeping God as the priority. So it's a priority shift in a sense. Like you said, like not letting the outside world and what people other people around you may say you should be doing, like not putting that as the priority, God's word, and being just listening to what him and the Holy Spirit are telling you. That's going to be priority in order for you to kind of continue going where you're going in life. Does that sound about right?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Nice. Well, I know that it all makes sense, and like you said, that is it. It seems so simple to do, but of course, like you said, there are steps. There are many steps that come into place and that play a factor in being able to keep God first and being able to stay organized in that way, being able to say no to things and to people when when you know that it's not fully aligned with what God's telling you at the moment.
Yeah.
So what are some, I guess, tips around that that help you stay organized in that way? that you feel like you use currently?
I would say don't get discouraged that if you don't finish anything. Because I remember I used to get very frustrated when I couldn't finish a task, or I feel like, oh, it's mandatory for me to get this done, you know. Um, but I realize as I grow more is what you can do at this moment, you can get it done. And if you can't do what you can't do, you know, finish it up, then you have till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have till tomorrow, you know, but try to tackle one task at a time. We as humans, we always try to look ahead and try to assume, okay, well, I have to get this done, or I gotta wait till tomorrow. You know, it's just we clutter so much instead of taking a small piece of thing and try to tackle that task. Being that me as a mom, you know, I'm trying to manage, you know, clean up the house, trying to make sure the house is in order, making sure my son's homework is done, making sure I spend time with my son, making sure, you know, all this stuff, trying to make sure everything is done. But also I have to enjoy the moment. You know, as I learned that sometimes we get so focused on making sure the task is done, but you're not enjoying the moment, or you're not getting nothing out of it. Far as learning, I always go by every day is a learning experience. So if I'm so mindset of, oh, I gotta get this thing done, I'm not learning anything, or I'm not enjoying the moment. I prefer to enjoy the moment and learning something too, instead of getting the task done. Because after the task done, you're gonna be tired. You be like, okay, I'm done. But once the task is done, it's like, whew, I can breathe. I enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like even for the dishes, like I'm just gonna be honest, if mothers out there, you know, my son and I, we do dishes together. Hey, look here, let's you wash. I mean, I'll wash, you rinse, you put it up. You know, we try to make it fun.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing with laundry. So it's just like each task, try to enjoy it. Don't stress. Don't stress. I know it's a mental thing. Mental health is very important, especially when it comes down to organization. And me, I could just share my story that I was never organized. Never. But like I said, is a learning thing. I feel like, oh, well, you put a lot on your plate. You do, because you're so quick to say yes. You know, my dad used to tell me a long time ago, you can only eat so much. You can't just eat everything on your plate. So it's just like, so, you know, if you think about it, it's like, okay, that is true. Because if you eat all the stuff that's on your plate, you're going to be bloated and you don't want to do nothing else. So it's like, enjoy your meal, you know, enjoy what's on your plate. Don't just overdo it because you see it. That means you got to get it. No, it doesn't mean it, because, hey, you see that pork chop over there, but you see fried chicken. No good, well, pork is not good for you. But, you know, it's just
Yeah.
basically as an example of don't pile your plate up too much then you can't eat or digest it. That's an encouragement all itself. Just don't stress and don't digest too much then you can't handle. So yes.
That's a good analogy. No, I feel like that helps to make it plain and make it clear in terms of what it looks like in a practical sense to not overload your plate, but actually be present and enjoy what you're doing. So,
Yes. Yes.
well, before we go, let's get into your books a little bit. How, like, what are your books about?
I have whew, okay. I lost count when it come down to four. So I have
Okay.
three books. Well, I have two books. Um, and the rest of them are co-authors of five. So total is, oh goodness, three plus five, that's eight. So eight books total. But the co-authors, the books are basically, like I said, when I do my part, I'm only sharing my story. So it's always encouraging. And the my other two books that I've done is called Flesh versus Spirit. Are you equipped? So that is basically how it's what the title is. It's about a young girl that was dealing with a lot, just dealing with a lot. And she realized that she was feeding her flesh more so than her spirit man. And when she was feeding more her flesh, she wasn't equipped really to handle the spirit, the spiritual world. So, but not knowing that God was actually equipping her for the battle and everything else. And and I realized as an author, when I write my books, I really don't really understand it until later. Because I'll be like, okay. But then the second book really was the hardest one for me, emotionally and everything else, um, because I was on a purpose journey. This is before I became a purpose coach, and it's the title of that story is "The Vision Speaks Purpose," and God put this lady on a journey of 30 days. So with me, I wanted to travel. I loved the mountains and stuff like that. So she was on a journey for 30 days. She couldn't take nothing besides a paper and pencil. I mean, yeah, paper and pencil. That's it. No phones, no clothes, nothing. So, that is like, okay, am I gonna be by myself? No, and she was by herself. So the question out that book is, has she really, during her 30 days journey, did she really find out what her purpose was? Of course, she has the mountains that she had to climb. Of course, she had to go through the valleys. So each mountain that she approached had some kind of thing that she had to tackle. Either is forgiveness, either is loving herself, either is taking the time for herself. Each mountain represents something that she had gained from it. Um, and then that's the last book that's actually coming out, January 2024, is She's Filled with the Fire. Now that's my baby. I mean, all my books are my baby, but
Yeah.
this one here, I love it because I've gone through, at the age of 2, um, brokenness, heartbroken, hurt and um, grief and a lot of stuff, being broken. So this one here is basically a book that really encourages us to say, hey, you're whole, you have purpose, you have to learn how to forgive yourself, to love yourself. And it's basically speaking life into you. And I loved it. I mean, that's my baby. That's one of my babies too. But that book here is going to be released January 2024, and I am planning on doing what God's planning on making it as a book tour,
Wow.
going different places. So I'm ready for this journey. I'm ready. Like I said, as a little girl that started with poetry as, hi, my name is Victoria Brown. I'm young. I'm smart. Doing affirmations as a boy, to
Wow.
now doing chapter books and poetry. So it's like I just give God praise and thanks, because who would have known? If you didn't say yes to your assignment. So yes, those are my three babies. They are also on my website. You can get them, www.writethevoice.com, and also it tells more about my ministry as well, the ministry as well, on the
Okay.
website.
Well, thank you for sharing that too. And thank you for sharing all about your books. Congratulations on the
Thank you.
release that will take place. You're welcome. And looking forward to the book tour as well.
Yes.
And outside of your website, how can people, or is your website the best way for people to stay connected to your journey, or is there any other places to stay connected as well?
There's Facebook. Shoo, there's Facebook. It's called True Story Through Poetry Ministry. Speak it, write it, vision it. SWV. Also there is Instagram. I think that's honestly yours is the poet. Um, but honestly, the website and also Facebook, I'm more active in those. I am also building up my YouTube channel. So that's going to be honestly yours as well on the YouTube channel. I'm building that up gradually. So there's a lot of platforms there too that I'm working on.
Okay, okay. And I'll make sure that I include those in the description box so that everybody who's watching uh, the episode can be able to see that and be able to click on the links and go directly to them.
Great.
All right. Well, Victoria, again, thank you so much for joining. I really enjoyed being able to hear about just everything that you do, everything you've been involved in, you as an individual, as a person, and what you do on top of being who you are. I look forward to talking with you more soon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this
You're,
opportunity. You
you're
have a
welcome.
good one.
You do the same. Me too. Have a good one. All right, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining in for another episode of Organizing Untold. Today's guest was Victoria, and she shared her journey of organizing and what that looks like for her to be mentally organized, and just being able to say no to so many things, saying yes to God, being able to prioritize her relationship with God, and hearing what God and the Holy Spirit are telling her, more than she's listening to the outside world. So again, be sure to look in the description box for her website information, as well as the many different platforms to follow her and stay connected on. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Organizing Untold. This is a segment of Nicely Placed Organizing. And again, we feature busy business owners and people who work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to be able to help others within that same category become confident with organizing. Nicely Placed Organizing is a professional organizing business where we organize for first time homebuyers, borderline hoarders, and full time artists who have art studios. So if yourself or anyone that you know is within one of those audiences or categories, reach out to us at nicelyplacedorganizing.com and go to our contact tab. We'd love for you to fill out our contact form and hear more about how we can best serve you with our services, or gift our services to those around you. You can be able to purchase a virtual organizing session if you or someone that you know doesn't like the laundry that you or they are doing, and doesn't like to fold and put away laundry. We're here for you. We will take care of that service, take it off of your hands, and help you be able to be less stressed when it comes to laundry, when it comes to organizing services virtually and in person. So be sure to visit nicelyplacedorganizing.com. Again, click on the contact tab, fill out that contact form for us, and we would love to get you booked, get you scheduled for a virtual organizing session or a laundry session. And if you're needing in person organizing services as well, we would love to be able to have a consultation with you, whether that's in person or over the phone or virtually, and take the next steps to be able to get you signed up for in person organizing sessions as well. Again, this is Organizing Untold. I'm your host, Sierra Hamilton, and we'll see you soon.